1999 really solidified AFI as the band that we know today. It was the first time that we got the full lineup that's still kicking nowadays. We got the Black Sails in the Sunset, which was just a phenomenal album from them. Now, they had been transitioning towards that darker, more gothic sound with the album Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes, which took the kind of more straightforward, back to its roots punk sound that they had contributed in their first two albums, and just brought everything more aggressive tone to things. And we're starting to deal with more abstract ideas. Black Sails in the Sunset kind of just brought that to the forefront, and they continued on throughout 99 and beyond, just making albums and improving and honing that sound. And that's where we get the next album from the band, which is an EP called All Hallows EP, which is a definitely fitting title. You know exactly what to expect right off the bat from that title alone. And this is also really at the point where AFI was starting to gain some popularity. I mean, the track off of this EP, The Boy Who Destroyed the World, was actually even featured on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, which is probably the point where a lot of people started to recognize the name and understand the sound because of that. Their old fans were still embracing this at this point, and they were gaining a lot of popularity at that point, and that really kind of catapulted them to being a household name just because of that one video game, which also at that time was hitting peak popularity. So this album, this EP in general, is probably one of my favorite things that they've done. It's fairly short, but just the tracks that are on here are just so good. They're so well done. It features one of my favorite songs called Total Immortal, which, I mean, that song is just absolutely phenomenal. The dark lyrics, the aggression that it has. I love hearing it live. It's definitely my favorite song by them to hear live. The song off here that they actually covered the Misfits, which is very, very fitting. Because of the sound that they're doing at this point. They kind of, the Misfits brought horror elements and gothic elements to the punk sound in the 70s and early 80s. AFI is bringing the horror sound to the modern punk scene at this point in the late 90s, the early 2000s, and they covered the song Halloween. And Davey Havok's vocals definitely just bring a unique style to that song. The original is fantastic, stands on its own with Danzig, but this track definitely, I think he really did a great job with it, and they really put a lot of effort into that cover where it makes it sound like their own and not just a carbon copy, and not something that's just so abstract that you don't recognize what the song actually is. And the opening track off of here, Fall Children, actually kind of really fits in with that same style. It actually almost feels like they wrote a continuation of something like the Halloween that the Misfits would have done. It really works well. It's eerie, it's creepy, it's got this slow build up in the beginning, and I really like that track. Just this whole album, this whole EP in general, just is such a strong entry from the band. The fact that it's coming within the same year that they put out a full-length release, and they actually kind of sound different too. It doesn't sound like Black Sails in the Sunset Part 2 or anything like that, or it doesn't sound like lost tracks off of Black Sail in the Sunset. It really sounds like they took that sound and just decided to expand upon it and grow it a bit more and just hone it down, and I think they really did a great job on this EP, and it's honestly one of my favorite things that they have done. So They definitely continue churning out music. I mean, this is at the point where we're getting a release at least once a year from them, including EPs within in between albums. So AFI are really kind of gaining popularity, gaining that momentum, and they're not showing any signs of stopping. Thank you for watching part 6 of the AFI Review Series. Next time, we're going to be taking a look at The Art of Drowning.